When rappers pass away, their music labels release the last of their music very quickly, as they look to profit off of the massive wave of exposure from the artist passing. With no music left to release, many fans forget about those who passed, as thousands of artists enter the industry every single month, such as King Von. King Von was known to be one of the most dangerous rappers in the industry. In the months leading up to his passing, King Von was taking over the music industry with his hit songs Crazy Story, as well as his debut album Welcome to O Block. Following in the footsteps of his best friend Lil Durk, he would unfortunately lose his life, as on November 5th, 2020, King Von and his crew prepared to head to Club Opium in Atlanta for his album release party. This night was supposed to be a massive celebration of the life and success ahead for King Von, but no one knew that it would be short-lived, as King Von had many enemies in the area. Growing up in a place as dangerous as O Block, he already knew the risks of being caught lacking in public. So when Von was rolling to the club, he was with a crew of around 20 to 25 members spread across 8 vehicles that went all to the party with him. Even King Von's manager, 100K Track, spoke on the extreme measures that Von would take when it regards security.
I travel with one security that moves with Von, and he traveled with 2 more securities. You know what I'm saying? Von traveled in a proof truck, and not only that, his guys are security, man. He travels with 10 to 15 guys daily. They protect and love Von more than any security would. We're like, I think we're about 8-10 cars deep, 20-25 on entourage.
However, later on in the night, something would completely change. King Von would act out and put his life in jeopardy. In the meantime, Von's party was going great. Everyone was having a good time, celebrating the success of King Von's newest album. Once the party ended around 2:30 a.m., Von and his entourage began exiting the club with the plan of everyone returning to their Airbnb for the night. However, King Von had other plans.
Everybody mind leaving the club is that we're going to the hotel and the Airbnb, because that's normal routine. The club he went to, the after hours, wasn't getting paid for. I didn't have no acknowledgement of. His team didn't have no acknowledgement of. That was a complete Von decision.
With the whole crew heading to the Airbnb, King Von would tell his driver to go to another club known as the Monaco Lounge, which would be the first decision of many that led to the end of King Von on this night.
So everybody else that was with us driving to the Airbnb, and Von literally went to the venue by himself. We got a call later from people in the car, like, hey bro, we here by, matter of fact, I think from his DJ was like, hey bro, you know we here by ourselves, like where you guys at? And everybody rerouted to that venue.
For some reason, the people in Von's truck only let the rest of the team know the plans that changed once they arrived at Monaco. When the rest of the team found out that King Von was at another club, their cars made an immediate U-turn towards the new club. Once Von's manager got to Monaco, he knew something was very off about King Von. He wasn't acting like his upbeat, usual self. Instead, he was sitting very quiet in the corner of his vehicle and on his cell phone. Von's crew was ready to enter the club at this point. However, King Von sat in the truck for roughly 30 minutes.
For some reason, Von wasn't himself. This man is like, I promise you, the best artist I ever moved in my life. For some reason that night, it was off. Like, he stayed in the car for like 30-35 minutes.
King Von's manager then hopped into the truck to check on King Von. King Von finally agreed to go into the lounge, but due to Monaco's club rules, Von's crew had to leave their firearms all inside of their vehicles. As first, they would then let the security in to check the club, making sure that it was safe for a famous celebrity of King Von to be in there.
I went to the car he was in, I was like, yo, Von. Went inside the passenger seat, I'm like, yo, Von, bro, what's going on? Like, everybody here waiting, let's go. He was like, all right, let's go. We're telling security, hey, it's time to go in now. Von's ready. You know what I'm saying? We've been here too long. Let's go inside the club. They check the venue, go inside, check the outside, make sure there's no...
But the real danger was actually outside in the parking lot, because Quando Rondo was in a car with a couple of his own members trying to get some sleep. As at this current point in time, King Von's security is checking out the inside of the club. King Von is still standing outside to when he would notice Quando Rondo's vehicle. Once he spotted Quando sitting beside his car, King Von was told that he was over there and began immediately sprinting over.
Now, right before we go inside the club, one of his homeboys, he came to the car and said, hey, so-and-so's here. And Von just jumped up like, oh, come on, let's go.
With King Von reacting instantly, sprinting over to where Quando Rondo is, Von's team was trying to chill him out very quickly and not to start a scene, but that didn't stop King Von. Von went right around the front of the white vehicle and immediately began swinging against Quando.
He jumped out the car. By the time Von jumped out the car, I don't even think he knew where so-and-so was. He just jumped out the car. He bumped into so-and-so. As soon as he bumped into so-and-so, started brawling.
Then only a couple seconds into the brawl against Quando, Quando's best friend Lil Tim comes out from the backside of the white vehicle with his firearm and ends up using it against King Von. Landing a few multiple times across of his body, King Von's manager also got hit in his leg trying to pull King Von away. Some of Von's members were still strapped and they instantly retaliated against Lil Tim, making him immediately fall to the ground only a few feet away. With the noise eclipse going off in the area, 2 off-duty officers working security down the street, as well as 1 on-duty officer, would quickly pull up to the scene, where they started unleashing multiple rounds into the area, hitting and ending one of King Von's friends. During this, King Von is seen laying in the middle of the street, Quando Rondo sitting right beside him. People online believe Quando is trying to snatch Von's chain before fleeing the area, but in reality, 100K Track thinks Von was actually holding Quando there to shield himself.
And was he trying to take Von's chain or?
Honest truth, I don't think V-Roy had no jewelry on, and from the people that was a little bit closer, Von was actually holding onto him like, man, you ain't going nowhere. Like, you here, like, even through getting he's that strong. Like, he was literally holding him.
Once the scene relaxed a bit and people stopped using their firearms, the race to save King Von's life was now on. His closest and best friend Muop ran right into the middle of the street and finishing Quando Rondo off for King Von. Quando and his team would then leave the scene, including the hitter being Lil Tim, all jumping into their white vehicle heading over to the hospital. Meanwhile, Von's crew helped him up into their own getaway car to the hospital. Despite being hit 4 times, Von was conscious the entire ride there, and members with King Von in the vehicle would speak out, sharing that Von tried keeping everyone else in good spirits and assured everyone else that it would be okay.
When he was in the car, I myself wasn't there. The gentleman that was in the car with him was panicking, and Von was the one that was like, hey, calm down, slow down, chill, I'm gonna be good, just get me to the hospital. And honest truth, we all thought that the way he was carrying himself, from that incident, from what I was told from the people in the car, that he would have been fine.
After arriving to the hospital, King Von was quickly rushed into the operating room, but unfortunately passed during surgery. Once the news of King Von's passing would shake the entire rap industry, as Von was the hottest rapper in the game at this point. He was one of Chicago's most fearless and dangerous members in O Block as well. It was so unbelievable to see Von had been fallen to a beef with another rapper that it actually took hours for people to believe that it was real.
This made national headlines as officials confirmed one of the 3 people shooting was rapper King Von from Chicago, who was here last night with friends.
2 groups of individuals got into a physical altercation. That physical altercation escalated into an exchange of guns.
Then on the other side, Lil Tim would survive his injuries at the hospital. The following day, he would be arrested in his hospital bed and been charged with the passing of King Von. Lil Tim went through multiple bond hearings where he was denied each time. However, in March 2021, he would receive a bail for $100,000. Ever since then, the charges against Lil Tim were actually dropped, as confirmed by his attorney in August 2023, stating, and I quote, "The case against Mr. Leaks, aka Lil Tim, was dismissed before ever being indicted." With Lil Tim beating the charges, this is where the rap industry got real, as Quando Rondo would then release a disrespectful track titled End of Story, implying it was the end of King Von since he was known for the Crazy Story series. In the lyrics, Quando goes off about that night, where he would say, and I quote, "Your brother's on the ground, go and pick your man up. That's right, we scream in self-defense. He shouldn't have put his hands on me. Look at the footage, that's all the evidence. See, those men shouldn't have run up on me." Now, Lil Tim even followed it up with his own track titled Off the List, where he raps the lyrics, "Just checked a new man off the list, quick to get you down, but check the score, I don't miss," referencing to the night of King Von's passing and saying that he checked Von off of his list of people to hit. The sad part is, King Von's passing was the highlight of Quando Rondo's entire music career, and it was all they would make music about until this day. He'd even mention it more in a track titled Soul Reaper, where he would say, "Man ran up on me and then we sprayed him. I'm talking lights out. We do the dash in that Durango, jumped out with the pipe out, so tell them to pipe down." However, Von's best friends, Lil Durk and members in O Block knew they had to do something about this. They couldn't just let them off for what they did, because in the following months, we would then hear a big time hit against Quando's crew.
Right now, the search is on for 3 people who police say at a Savannah rapper, a member of his entourage. It happened in Los Angeles and cameras captured the aftermath.
As a result, one of Quando's closest friends, Lil Pab, would have been taken out during this hit. News footage captured the moment that Quando found out, as he experienced the same pain that Von's friends did just 1 year prior.
This man, a passenger in that car, frantic at the sight.
Not long after, Durk claimed to be behind the hit, as on his track titled Aha, he had the lyrics, and I quote, "They like Durk, he a singer, he won't do something. You can believe whatever you want, I got your folks hit." He even mentions in another track on how Quando screamed after finding out Lil Pab was gone in his feature on Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy, where he says, and I quote, "Look on the news and see your son screaming no, no." As Quando's ultimately has backed down ever since then, losing someone very close to him, he tried distancing himself from the street life. However, life in O Block hasn't been nearly the same since Von passed. The members are even more on edge after seeing what happened to Von, someone that almost everyone looked up to in O Block. Seeing them pass from something street related has definitely made a lot of them think twice about living this type of lifestyle, as O Block members have even shown this in his Instagram live.
Check it out. Let's walk over here and see this Von picture. I know it's a lot of ops on this. I'm letting y'all see where I'm at. Why is this black truck still right here? Man. Watch that truck. Watch that truck right there.
However, the story of Pop Smoke passing continues to be forgotten about. Pop Smoke was one of the hottest rappers in the game leading up to his passing on February 19th, 2020. However, the truth behind his passing has always been a mystery until today, as the unknown secrets have finally been revealed by the suspects that were involved in the crime. It all begins on February 17th, 2020. Only 48 hours before his passing, Pop had been hanging out around New York rapper Fabio Foreign before flying back to Los Angeles.
I woke up, I guess like it had happened overnight. And it's crazy because I was just with him the night before. He flew out that night, went to LA, and then it happened. So I'm like, automatically, I'm like, it's fake.
Needing a place to stay for the weekend, Pop Smoke would rent out an Airbnb in Beverly Hills. The following morning on February 18th, Pop would share a photo to his Instagram with a view from the mansion and even tagged the Beverly Hills. At this moment in Pop Smoke's music career, he was on the uptrend, as well as learning and getting used to all of the newfound fame. He was unaware that people were watching his every single move, especially on social media, which is why with every single post that Pop would make on social media, the men that took his life got closer to tracking him down. First was his post in the mansion. They knew that he was in Beverly Hills. Pop continued sharing his day online every single hour. From having his barber even come over to give him a fresh haircut, he would even post this by the pool in the afternoon. However, his next post was when the hitters really decided to go after him, as Pop Smoke was fitted in designer clothing, and the next slide even featured him and his longtime best friend, Mike D. He was holding stacks of cash right outside of the mansion, further attracting Pop Smoke's attackers that much more. An hour later, Mike D posted these photos showing the rich life that they have been living. They then got caught up in flexing their wealth online, as this post not only revealed the front of the house, but it also included 3 digits of the home's address. All Pop Smoke's hitters now needed to figure out what was the first digit, and then they would know his exact location. For some reason, Pop Smoke and his team were terrible at hiding his location on this day, as it would only get worse later on in the night. According to reports, Pop Smoke spent the evening out shopping. Then when he returned home, Pop would relax at the crib and even shared a photo of his nighttime view. This was timestamped to be around 10 p.m., only 6 hours before Pop would sadly lose his life. 30 minutes later, Pop Smoke received a gift and even posted it onto his Facebook. Thanking designer Mike Amiri for sending some designer clothing, he was extremely excited about this gift that he didn't even realize he just showed the entire world his exact address as it was printed on the tags of the gifts in the video.
Wait. Make 'em merry, make 'em merry. Billie Jean, Billie Jean. Good looks, make 'em merry. Gifts.
The robbers didn't even have to do any digging into where Pop Smoke even was, as the place that he was staying at was on the internet for anyone to view, as it was on Airbnb. According to reports, one of Pop Smoke's managers then asked him to actually delete the post after he noticed several hours later. Before anything happened, Pop then left the house again. He headed over to East West Recording Studios, which is only a few miles away. While he was gone, reports say a black BMW drove past the mansion and even parked just down the street. Security cameras captured the passenger of the BMW sneaking towards the back of the mansion. As 2 minutes later, the man then returned to his vehicle and they quickly sped away. Pop was finally finishing up at the recording studio. Him and Mike D, as well as a woman named Amelia Rose, all three hopped into a Range Rover and started driving back to the Airbnb. Rose and Pop were going to the master bedroom, as while Mike D was going down the hall to a separate bedroom. After being home for a few hours, a sedan then pulls up to the house around 4 a.m. With the headlights off, four shadows would emerge from the vehicle and go down the side of the mansion. As they snuck into the backyard, Pop Smoke is in his bathroom taking a shower while Rose is laying in bed. All of a sudden, the four men bursted into the bedroom, all four wearing ski masks and telling the lady to be quiet. Pointing firearms in her direction, the other three men quickly rushed into the bathroom after Pop. Rose told detectives she would hear the sounds of a struggle between them before hearing Pop Smoke scream and then a loud popping sound. This is when Pop Smoke would sadly fall to the ground. The two intruders continued going after him. As Pop Smoke quickly realized his life was in jeopardy, he tried getting up and running away downstairs, but unfortunately, Rose would state she heard two more loud pop noises and it went off. As the robbers would quickly flee the scene, grabbing anything they can, she would then quickly run down the stairs to find Pop Smoke sitting at the bottom, and at the same time, Mike D was awoken by the sound of the first firearm noise. He was hiding in his bedroom closet, waiting for all of the noise and commotion to calm down before exiting. He would quickly look inside Pop Smoke's room, however, he would just find the two at the bottom of the staircase, as he would then call 911.
Hello? PD, what are your numbers? Hello, it's the fire department. I know, but you're not talking. We're already on their way. Give me your... Are you in a safe place, sir?
Yeah, I don't know.
Unknown, okay. They're on their way.
Medics arrived on the scene and then rushed to take Pop Smoke to the medical center, but sadly, he didn't make it.
4:55 this morning, multiple LAPD Hollywood units responded to a call at 3 Hercules Drive in the Hollywood Hills, was being broken into by multiple suspects, and that one of them was with a... When officers arrived there, they discovered inside the house and transported that to Cedars-Sinai Hospital, where he was pronounced.
Detectives began investigating to find who was responsible. Both the BMW and Infiniti were both noticed by detectives, as through DMV records, they would find that both cars are registered to a 19-year-old named Corey Walker. With Corey being a person of interest, a judge issued a warrant giving detectives access to his Google account. They would find a very interesting search history, as his account revealed his search of the house's address and even visited the LAPD's website only 2 hours before the crime, as he looked up the address of the real estate on the website Zillow. This gave him, as well as his team, photos to see what the inside of the house looked like, as his next search would be at 5:15 a.m., which is only 20 minutes after Mike D called 911, where he searched, and I quote, Rolex Oyster Datejust, which is the exact watch they stole from Pop Smoke in the bathroom. The value of the watch they got after robbing and doing this to Pop Smoke, they sold for around $3,000. These four teens ruined their entire lives just to split for $500 to $750 each. Despite having a very suspicious online record, law enforcement didn't have enough hard proof yet. It wasn't until a 15-year-old was then arrested on unrelated crimes that the case would then break wide open. Detectives had him on a person of interest list, so when they brought him into jail, they rigged his entire cell with recording devices, where he would end up confessing to his cellmate that he was involved in the robbery of Pop Smoke and that he was actually the one that used the firearm. The driver was then also arrested not too longer for other charges. He too would also confess to his cellmate and told the exact same story as the 15-year-old. According to both of them, they actually had no intention of doing this to Pop Smoke. All they wanted was his jewelry and designer clothing. But when Pop Smoke wouldn't back down in the bathroom, they panicked and then did the act. Corey Walker was the 19-year-old who stayed in the car during the robbery, while 18-year-old Keandre Rogers led to the charge into the house. They were both charged with the passing of Pop Smoke, and they are continuing to await their trial. However, the other two, aged 17 and 15 at the time of the crime, both pleaded guilty to being involved.
One of the 4 men accused of Brooklyn rapper Pop Smoke just pled guilty. The 20-year-old man was 17 at the time of the
They aren't even named since they weren't 18 at the time of the crime. However, the 17-year-old is now 20. He is sentenced to 4 years and 2 months inside of a detention facility. Meanwhile, the 15-year-old, who was the man that did the act, is expected to be held in a state juvenile facility until he turns the age 25. Unfortunately, the two younger ones won't have to spend their lives behind bars for what they did. Both Corey Walker and Keandre Rogers will face up to life inside of prison for their charges, but overall, this should be a life lesson to many young rappers in the game to not post every single thing about your life on social media, especially your whereabouts. A common rapper that has been forgotten about in this new age of music is Tupac Shakur. Now that it was announced, Keefe D has officially been charged with the passing of Tupac, rappers have exposed what truly happened to Tupac Shakur. To understand this fully, we need to go back to September 7th, 1996. Tupac was in Las Vegas with the head of his record label named Suge Knight as the two went on to the MGM Grand to watch a Mike Tyson match. After it was over, when leaving the match, they spotted an op inside of the lobby, as explained here.
Suge Knight and their entourage went to the Mike Tyson at the MGM Grand. Keefe D and his nephew, Orlando Lane Anderson, and 2 of their friends were also there. Keefe D told LAPD Detective Greg Kading more than a decade ago, in a proffer that couldn't be used against him, the shooting was retaliation after Tupac jumped Orlando and beat him up at the casino. Surveillance cameras recorded the fight. Tupac was angry that Lane had stolen his necklace years prior in Compton. Tupac, Suge Knight, and the entourage left the casino quickly,
as security would go on and break the altercation up between Tupac, Suge Knight, and many ops. Tupac and Suge went back to their hotel to change, then going off to a club for the night to party it up. As around 11 p.m., the two began heading to the club when things would go down in the middle of the street, as explained here.
Others knew about Tupac's concert at the Club 662. Members, including Orlando and Keefe D, jumped in their white Cadillac and started cruising the strip looking for the offender. Before long, they finally spotted Tupac's caravan. At the intersection of East Flamingo Boulevard and Koval Lane, the white Cadillac pulled alongside the black BMW with Suge on the driver and Tupac on the passenger seats. The back window of the Cadillac rolled down and Orlando opened fire. Tupac was hit 4 times, twice in the chest, once in the arm, once in the thigh.
After the altercation was done in the middle of the street, it was a mystery for over a decade on what truly went down. The truth would then finally be revealed this week as Keefe D would be arrested.
For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice. We are here today to announce the arrest of 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis, aka Keefe D, of Tupac Shakur. Davis was arrested this morning by my LVMPD criminal apprehension team, and this investigation started on the night of September 7th, 1996. It has taken countless hours, really decades, of work by the men and women of our section to get to where we are today.
As we need to dive deep into Keefe D's confession on how Tupac actually passed. During an interview, it begins with him detailing the moments of finding Tupac and then pulling up on him.
And Bubble Up was the driver, and Baby Lane and Freaky were in the back seat.
We was just all in the car together. Just say that.
This was the white Cadillac.
Yeah.
So you guys are driving around, and then you hear these girls say, Tupac, Tupac.
Got to the light. We was gonna go drink, and he happened to be hanging out the window. He was hanging out the window like he was in a parade.
Tupac.
Yeah, he was.
So what happens next? You said that as you're driving up towards the BMW, with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat.
To later Keefe D's interrogation with the police that is never before seen, sharing this during his interview.
Lane starts. You say Suge looks over, he sees you. He looks right at you.
Yeah, he looks at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then Tupac's busy getting. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out of the
back seat or something.
Yeah, what do you see happening inside of their
Jumping
car?
in. I seen him going Suge head. I thought he was.
So Orlando across Dre.
He leaned over on the window. We rolled down the window.
As Keefe D released this footage for the first time ever before being arrested, announcing that he was actually at the crime scene, inside of the car, and then even made eye contact with Suge Knight while the incident was going down. What Keefe D said next was very concerning, stating that it only happened as Tupac was reaching for his firearm.
You said that as you're driving up towards the BMW with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat, and you said that Tupac pulled out a.
It looked like he was reaching, yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you actually see?
No, once he got the reaching, I got the ducking.
So someone from your car
That's what happened.
started at Tupac and Suge.
It's very clear the investigation for Tupac's passing was heating up, as even Snoop Dogg would reveal that he was supposed to be there on the night that it happened.
You were with Tupac, though, in regards to Tupac. I heard a story, did you give him different advice that night on where to go?
I didn't give him no advice.
Right.
We wasn't seeing eye to eye.
Right.
So.
Saying during the Tyson.
Yeah, this incident that I'm explaining to you right now was the day before that.
Okay.
So when they got to Vegas, they went their way, I went back. I mean, when we got to LA, they went to Vegas and I went home. That's why I wasn't in the car with them.
To even Floyd Mayweather announcing that he witnessed Tupac being targeted in Las Vegas on that night, detailing that he lived right there.
The car pulled up at Tupac. Car pulled right here. Tupac at this light. Car went that way. I was living right here in 1996 when Tupac. Right here. I ain't never told nobody. Only the close people with me know.
However, this is where the story gets very weird. Keefe D wrote an entire book on being involved in Tupac's passing titled Compton Street Legend, including very many interviews of him literally hinting towards doing the crime. Why is he now being arrested after so many decades? As fans believe that it's a cover-up that Tupac is still alive. To understand this fully, we need to dive deep into the notorious B.I.G., otherwise known as Biggie Smalls. Fans believe that he was responsible for the hit on Tupac, as B.I.G. had been accused of going after Tupac several times in the past. Their beef started all the way back in 1994, when Tupac had gone to the studio to record a verse, as while walking inside, 3 guys would quickly jump him on sight, using firearms towards Tupac and even snatching his golden chains. Coincidentally, Biggie and his crew were at the exact same recording studio when it all went down. However, Biggie tried covering it up, saying that it was all a coincidence and that he had nothing to do with it. But according to rumors, the story does not end here. Ever since Tupac was declared to be passed in 1996, theories about him faking his passing and still being alive has been one of the most popular things on the entire internet, as interviews from Suge Knight would reveal that Tupac was apparently doing fine in the hospital before his passing.
I mean, when I left that hospital, me and Pac was laughing and joking. So I don't see how somebody can turn from doing well to doing bad.
So you seriously think that he might still be alive?
I'm gonna tell you this, Pac, you never know.
But what's very strange about this interview was that Tupac was supposedly in a deep sleep. So how in the world was he and Suge laughing if Tupac was sleeping? Now this doesn't seem to add up, but then in 2018, Suge Knight's own son would take it to Instagram to state that Tupac was still alive and that he was living in Malaysia. As after Suge Knight Jr. posted this, he would then post another photo to his Instagram showing a text conversation where somebody said, "You said too much. It's time for you to go to him. Suge Knight Jr. would then start panicking. He would then even start listing a ton of photos off of Tupac alongside modern day celebrities such as 50 Cent and Beyonce. He made it seem like something was going after him for leaking all of these photos. However, on the photo with Tupac and Beyonce, he would caption it, "He never left us, but they will be after me soon." While some believe this was all a publicity stunt for Suge Knight's son to gain clout, others believe that it was truly factual, and that Suge Knight Jr. would be one of the people to know more about it than anyone else in the world, considering that his father was right there with Tupac on the scene. Then back in 2014, Suge Knight would end up telling TMZ that Tupac was alive and well.
So he was conscious on the way to the hospital?
He was conscious on the way to the hospital. He was conscious in the ambulance. He was conscious after they did the surgery.
What was the last thing that he said to you?
They left.
As the strange deal was that only 4 months after he did this interview and leaking information to TMZ, he was targeted inside of a nightclub as somebody with a firearm was using it around 6 times. However, Knight was hesitant to tell the police anything, as many believe that it was all connected to him talking to TMZ about Tupac still being alive. Then in 2010, a rapper named Tretch was interviewed on the topic of Tupac before his show. Tretch and Tupac were very close friends back in the day. They even made a few songs together on an album. But here's where things get interesting. After Tretch's interview, the cameraman forgot to stop recording. He placed the camera on the floor, and in the footage, you can hear the interviewer asking Tretch about Tupac, to which Tretch responds, "Last time I saw him, he was in Cuba."
So if you ain't ready for it, get on the sidewalk.
One last question. Nobody knows. Y'all good? Yeah, we good. Thanks a lot, man. We good.
Last time I saw him, he was in church.
As Tupac being alive in Cuba is likely the most popular theory to this day. His aunt has been living in Cuba since 1994, after she was convicted of a serious crime in the USA and she had to escape. Then in 2018, a website called Reporters posted a photo of Tupac allegedly partying with Rihanna in Cuba. Many say the photo's fake, but many believe it's real. In fact, the Cuba theory has become so popular, famous rapper Kendrick Lamar even references it in his track titled Element, where he would rap the lyrics, "Mr. 1 through 5, that's the only logic. Fake my passing, go to Cuba, that's the only option." As days after Kendrick Lamar released that song, a very strange video would be released of Tupac supposedly chilling in a parking lot in Cuba.
Zoom in. That's Pac, man. He with the outlaw. And Reg from Holla Back is trying to be friendly and get autographs. Holla Back exclusive, baby. Holla Back.
However, the passing of XXXTENTACION still does not settle well with fans today. To understand this further, we first need to review XXXTENTACION's passing, as the trial for his passing was a complete mess, as Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, and Trayvon Newsom were all 3 sentenced to life inside a prison, while at the same time, all 3 of their lawyers pleading that they never did the crime, alongside the 4th suspect, Robert Allen, making a snitching deal with the feds, and he was only sentenced to a few years. However, the real mess was when fans and even lawyers during X's trial believed and argued that Drake was responsible for X's passing.
Before X, he said, if anything, it's Drake. And do you think that for one moment, here today, days after the event, 2 masked men, right? He came on social media and said, guys, if anything, it's Drake. Do you think in that time span that they went and they addressed him, they talked to him? No. Do you think sitting here today, years later, any detective has ever asked, Drake or anybody like that? No, they never did that. So you ask yourself, how could that be? And you say, hey, it's so-and-so, you better believe so-and-so is gonna get investigated. But in this case, they didn't do it. They didn't do it because it didn't comport with their version and their narrative. And as law enforcement, I think that they have the obligation to do so.
As the lawyer states that Drake is responsible for it due to X putting on Instagram, "If anyone tries to get me, it was at Champagne Poppy, aka Drake. I'm snitching right now." To understand this fully, we need to dive deep into the day of June 18th, 2018, which is the day that XXXTENTACION sadly passed. His day begins with him hopping into his black BMW i8 and driving over to Riva Motorsports, a massive retailer for motorcycles, boats, and off-roading vehicles. Once arriving to Riva, X would find a motorcycle that he likes and would like to purchase, and then also learning they do cash deals for a discount. X would then leave Riva, calling his mother to update on buying the new motorcycle as someone needs to drive his vehicle home. His mother tells him to pick up his uncle so then he can drive the i8 while X drives the motorcycle home. XXXTENTACION then quickly picks up his uncle, then driving over to the Bank of America as security surveillance would show XXXTENTACION walking into the bank. During X's trial, the bank teller in the video was brought to the stand, mentioning that the Florida rapper wanted $250,000 in cash. However, she had to reject him as their policies only allow $50,000 in withdrawals without a cash order. She handed over X $50,000 and then ordered the rest for a later date. While XXXTENTACION is busy getting the money from the bank teller, what he didn't realize was the 4 suspects were scouting out his supercar that was sitting in the parking lot. Robert Allen mentioned that the 4 were already planning on robbing somebody in order to get some quick cash for the day, as he would mention that XXXTENTACION's vehicle practically just fell into the palm of their hands. As once realizing whose this vehicle was, they immediately began tailing him all the way back to Riva Motorsports. They had 2 objectives. They wanted to snatch his diamond chain, and they also wanted to know what was in the Louis V duffel bag. X would then leave the Bank of America and begin driving over to Riva for the final time. Arriving back at Riva, XXXTENTACION would park his vehicle in their own parking lot. Meanwhile, the 4 suspects would park their van across the street. 2 men would hop out of the van to watch X from a distance inside of the store, keeping an eye on him, making sure he doesn't go anywhere, while also trying to see what's in the Louis V bag. The other 2 men then parked their vehicle outside across the street, trying to stay out of the way of any cameras. The 2 men that followed X into the store also ended up buying the ski masks and gloves that they used during the crime. However, here's surveillance photos of them entering the shop with X. The craziest part is that XXXTENTACION makes eye contact with one of the suspects as caught on tape. With X continuing to look over at motorcycles with his uncle, he ends up changing his mind and not even wanting to purchase one anymore. X would then leave the motorcycle store wearing the Louis V bag, still with him with all of the cash. Making his way back to his BMW after roughly 30 minutes, the 2 suspects on the inside would also start sprinting over to the van that's located across the street. It would be this moment where XXXTENTACION sits and park inside of his vehicle on his cell phone for roughly 5 minutes, being a massive mistake, as this gave the 2 suspects from inside of the store enough time to get to their vehicle across the street. When it was time to leave, XXXTENTACION turns on his vehicle. While trying to exit the one-way parking lot, the minivan with the 4 suspects begins speeding right in front of X's vehicle, preventing X from being able to drive away. 2 men hopped out of the van, holding firearms, demanding him to roll his windows down and hand over the chain in the bag of cash. XXXTENTACION was refusing, making the men very angry. With so much pressure going on in this moment, X's uncle in the passenger seat would be seen then opening his door, sprinting away, leaving X all by himself, as without even realizing, his uncle just opened up a door, giving them full access to XXXTENTACION's car. One of the suspects would then sprint around to the other side of the vehicle, hopping into the car with X, and sadly, we all know what happened after that. The 2 men were able to run off with X's Louis V bag, as well as one of his diamond chains. In court, it was revealed, prosecutor says Dedrick Williams was driving and cut off the car being driven by X. Michael Boatwright and Trayvon Newsom put on the ski masks and had the firearm. The passenger manages to run away. They approach X, and Boatwright does the act towards him. As the XXXTENTACION trial thankfully featured one snitch. This would be Robert Allen, as he would share what exactly happened with the $50,000 in cash that they stole from X, alongside photos of them even flexing the money. Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, Williams and Trayvon Newsom all received $15,000 of that money, meaning that Robert was only given $5,000. Pretty interesting, the man paid the least amount of money is now the one snitching. As this tweet was also shared sharing pictures taken after X's passing, same day shows defendant Michael Boatwright flexing a lot of cash. Defendant turned state testifies that this is XXXTentacion's money, and photos were taken hours after the incident. As shortly after, Robert Allen would then share what X's last words were. As shared by DJ Academics, the last words were, "What is this for?" Making the passing feel even more upsetting, as X didn't really understand what was truly happening. With X's passing not settling well for fans, Juice WRLD's wouldn't be any better. The story of how Juice WRLD passed continues to be changed every few months, from celebrities sharing different ways that it happened, to even Juice's ex-girlfriend Ali Lottie revealing the headlines of Juice's passing is completely wrong. While she stated in an Instagram live, "You guys really think Juice passed away from that? You're wrong, you're wrong. Literally, you're wrong. There's a lot of stuff you guys don't even know." Making many fans believe that Juice may have stayed true to his word in 2017, where he would tweet, "My goal is to get overly famous, shine for a couple of years, and then fake my passing." However, to understand this further, we need to dive deeper into the day of December 8th. As on December 8th, Juice WRLD alongside his girlfriend Ali, his filmer Chris, and his security were boarding a private jet and flying to Chicago. While boarding the plane that was already late for around 50 minutes, the flight felt strange to Juice WRLD's friends.
Was acting weird, the stewardess lady was acting weird, and I just felt something off. I got up to like, yo, we should leave. You know what I mean? I got up and walked to the door, and then like,
crazy,
to see if the cars were still there, and I'm like, because I was gonna be like, yo, let's just go off this plane right now. Like,
as this is where the story begins. Sources claim the pilot was the first one that was on the plane. While Juice WRLD and company were all boarding the plane, bringing all of their luggage onto the jet, the pilot would be able to smell a certain substance in the air. This would then leave him to exit the plane and go and call law enforcement, creating a tip on Juice WRLD. This would end up creating a massive setup for when he would be landing, as the police would tell the pilot to continue the flight as normal, allow these items to basically be transported across the United States on a private jet. As on Juice WRLD's private jet, he had many illegal items on the flight, from having 70 pounds of extracurricular items stuffed into suitcases, 2 firearms with high-capacity magazines, alongside multiple items that was in Ali's handbag. As this would make many blame the pilot for Juice WRLD's passing, including Ali herself.
I've lost 2 of the most important people in my life because of snitching.
The flight was going normal as usual. However, the pilot himself knew that things were about to go down once this jet would be landing, for it wouldn't be long until Juice WRLD and company would be feeling that exact way as well. As when they got into Chicago and they were allowed to turn airplane mode off on their cell phones, as there was 5 minutes left in the flight, Juice WRLD's team would receive a text message.
Everything was normal and everything was fine, and once we started getting closer to Chicago and we started getting service on our phones, our security guard, Hen, texted the group chat and was basically like, "Cops are here and they have a dog."
It was at this moment where everyone began to panic. While doing so, Juice WRLD would be remaining calm. However, he would also be consuming items that were stored in his carry-on bag, as law enforcement believe that during the flight, when Juice WRLD and his team were told they were awaiting their arrival, Juice WRLD took more and more of the items in an attempt to hide them from authorities, as the plane was rented in Juice WRLD's name, meaning all of the illegal items on that flight would be put onto his name and record when law enforcement searched the plane. According to lawyers, they predict a maximum of 20 years inside a prison, as they were technically using a private jet to transport 70 pounds across the United States. So knowing that information was going on, this would cause anyone to freak out and get nervous. When you add all of the items Juice WRLD took, mixed in with all of the nerves of knowing law enforcement is awaiting your arrival, Juice WRLD's heart would then go into what's called as overdrive, which sadly would cause the incident while leaving the private jet inside of the airport. As when it happened, an ambulance was called to the scene. Witnesses claim that Juice WRLD was then transported to emergency care, where he he would then sadly pass. While paramedics were helping Juice WRLD, the feds and canine units were going through the luggage that was stored on the plane. The dogs were able to quickly sniff out the illegal items, which would then raise the question, why would Juice WRLD even attempt bringing this onto a jet? As it would later then be revealed why Juice WRLD did it. Before his passing, Juice WRLD's birthday party was coming up the following day, as mentioned by his filmer Chris.
Weekend, we're going to Chicago to celebrate his birthday. It was just his birthday the other day, but we're going this weekend, Saturday. We're flying out there. We're gonna have a birthday party with his mom and family and friends and stuff like that from out there. So.
However, while at the scene inside of the airport, 2 of the rapper's security guards would then be arrested at the scene, as they would go on to take the blame for the firearms that were on the private jet. Then later, Juice WRLD's photographer was also arrested, booked and charged with a misdemeanor violation. With an investigation in place, rapper Boosie suggested the pilot of the plane was ultimately responsible for the passing of Juice WRLD, referring to the pilot as a snitch. The most recent rapper that sadly passed is Migos rapper Takeoff. We can now take a closer look into the passing of Takeoff, as new evidence has been revealed, sharing everything. On November 1st, 2022, it was reported that Takeoff was passing at the age of 28 years old, after an incident in Houston, Texas. Now this went viral on news headlines, getting reactions from many rappers in the industry, even such as Boosie, who said this.
R.I.P. Takeoff, bro. Shaking my head, man. Humble. That music syndicate won't show QC, all the family. We sending some prayers and love for y'all. All Takeoff family, Quavo, Offset, all y'all. That music syndicate won't, send their prayers out. His rap whack, bro. I ain't lying. We targets now, bro. We used to be heroes, Everybody want us out of here, bro. R.I.P. Takeoff.
To even Master P giving his reaction on his Instagram.
And hip hop is too young. Rest in peace to Takeoff. My condolences goes out to Takeoff family, Quavo, man, all my soldiers and soldierettes. Hip hop has turned to the new streets. We used to be in the streets trying to get into hip hop, which is crazy. When you walk out your house, tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know who might not come back. And no matter how old or young you are, it's crazy. I love y'all soldiers and salute to everybody. Let's save the next generation.
And with the passing of Takeoff obviously being one of the biggest moments of the year 2022, it got the attention of everyone in the world. So everybody wanted to know exactly what happened. The internet came together and they closed the case faster than the feds did, finding all suspects within the few hours. The first suspect is DJ Clark, aka Patrick Clark by his real name. As DJ Academics tweeted, police arrest man for the passing of Takeoff. His name is Patrick Clark. Sources in Texas say he's commonly known as DJ Pat, with this mugshot included. As DJ Academics also then tweeted, according to court documents, Patrick Clark, aka DJ Clark, applied for an emergency passport days after the passing of Takeoff, and he booked a flight to Mexico. When police arrested him, he had a large amount of cash on him, as prosecutors claim that he's a flight risk for bond. Now the second suspect is Cameron Joshua, aka Lil Cam. As it was reported just in, Takeoff's passing suspect, Cameron Joshua, has been arrested on firearm possession, leaving the third suspect being Takeoff's own boy named Migos Bands. As Migos Bands spent the entire day with Quavo and Takeoff and is a very close family friend. On this night, Migos Bands was seen wearing a snapback hat, diamond chain, Gucci bag, as well as t-shirt, as seen in Quavo's Instagram story at the beginning of the night. 10 hours before the passing of Takeoff, his day started getting together with Quavo, Migos Bands, and a driver for their vehicle. They were invited to a Halloween party hosted by Jay Prince Jr. in Houston, Texas. At this party, it consisted of many music reps, businessmen, as well as street members. As an Instagram story showed Quavo, Takeoff, Migos Bands, and their driver of their vehicle driving over to the party in Houston. As the party starts with Quavo and Takeoff performing a few songs at the beginning of the event, then leading into an after party room where games of dice were played in exchange of cash. What many people are aware of, in this after party room, all three suspects are standing within 15 feet from each other. And the most concerning part was that Quavo knew that Cameron Joshua was up to no good before anything even happened. As in this video screenshot, Quavo was seen giving Cameron a very ugly look while playing games, almost as if he knew Cam was up to no good at this party. Cameron was seen wearing a yellow sweater this night. Make sure you remember that. Now, after this was complete, Takeoff, Migos Bands, and Quavo, they were then seen walking through the shopping center in Houston, Texas. Alongside a lump sum of around 30 estimated people, these individuals wanted to play more games of dice in exchange for cash, and they ran out of time in the after party room, so they went to a bowling alley called 810 Billiards in Bowling, Houston. Right outside of the bowling alley was all 30 people standing in a massive circle playing games of dice. While Quavo was just watching people play, a mystery man that still remains nameless walks up to Quavo and begins mocking him for the way that he played during a celebrity basketball game just a few weeks prior. At this current moment, Takeoff is seen around 7 feet to the side of Quavo, minding his own business but keeping an eye on him at the same time. Quavo and this mystery man continue arguing. It even leads up to a point where Quavo is seen saying, "Man, I don't care about no basketball game." And with the yelling beginning to escalate in this area, Cameron Joshua is seen making his way through the pile of people and standing right beside Quavo, just listening to these men argue. And with the yelling only continue to escalate, Migos Bands is then seen from the back making his way through the people as well, as allegedly Migos Bands was only invited to the party to be sort of street security for Takeoff and Quavo, almost as if, you know, they weren't allowed to bring in a real security guard, but Migos Bands could get the job done if needed. Now you can tell this is Migos Bands due to the t-shirt, Gucci bag, single chain, and snapback he was wearing in the vehicle earlier. Migos Bands then makes his way through the group. He then stands to the other side of Quavo, making sure no issues are about to go down. Once Quavo is done arguing with this mystery man, Quavo says he's done and turns his back to begin walking away. Once Quavo turns his back and starts walking away, the mystery man then swings towards Quavo. When the mystery man begins swinging, this is when witnesses claim Migos Bands reaches for his firearm as he has to protect Quavo. Now him doing the motion of pulling out his firearm also then causes allegedly Cameron Joshua to pull out his firearm. And again, most instances like this causes then DJ Clark to pull out his firearm as there's a massive brawl about to go down. Now remind you, Quavo walked away. 3 people are pulling their firearm and just imagine a triangle shape. With 3 suspects now having firearms in their hand, Takeoff is actually in the middle of this so-called triangle. Now witnesses claimed that one suspect used their firearm first and that the other did. It's still not confirmed. All we know is someone used their firearm, causing the other 2 to use theirs as well. And in the middle of everything was Takeoff, and he was sadly affected by strays. As of this current moment in time, that is the truth behind Takeoff's passing. Now again, things could definitely change once the court case starts, but as of now, this is the news that we currently have. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the trial once it begins. Anyways, it's been District Trending, and I'm ending the video here.